Welcome back. So now we're going to talk a little bit about why do we even care about this? What's the point of writing a mission, vision, and value statement? Well, think of it like this. A good value statement is a reflection of your past, your idealized past, how the past would ideally look. Okay? Your mission statement is the idealized present. What are your aspirations for today? And your vision statement is all about, hey, how are things supposed to look in the future? If I do everything correctly and I'm just a rock star at everything I do, what is the future going to look like for me? That's what these things are designed to do. And your strategy is going to be a reflection of your mission, vision, and value statements. Now, ideally, your strategy is going to emphasize a little bit more on your mission statement, because the mission statement is going to be answering questions like, where do we compete and what do we actually do? But again, I don't really believe that the present is divorced from the past or the future. So your strategy still has to have components of these, although it's more directly a reflection of your mission statement. Okay. Now, all three of these statements can be used as benchmarks. And I want you to think about this. When you're trying to assess how well you're doing it as an organization, sometimes you get a little lost, you get a little confused, we get a little rudderless. These statements can be used to help us understand, okay, how well did we do last year? Were our actions as managers reflecting our core values? Did we meet our mission? And are we making progress towards achieving our long-term vision? So you can use it as kind of a benchmark. But it's also important as a communication device. Okay? Now, those different managerial styles that I showed you, they're a little complicated. Not everybody is going to really understand them unless they've taken this course, or also some of the other courses I've taught in the past that go into a little bit more depth on these topics, but most people don't think about management in those terms. So what you're doing is you are reflecting whatever your management style is, and then writing it down into such a way that an educated 12-year-old can understand it. Again, a good mission, vision, and value statement, anybody should be able to follow what you're trying to say. And so this is important as a manager because, being a manager, you have a little bit of attention because you're a leader, but you're also kind of a worker bee too. So you're going to have performance or work-related tasks, but then you've also got your managerial tasks. And as your time between working and managing gets kind of divvied up, you're not always going to be there to actively engage and supervise your employees. More importantly, you're not always going to be able to explain every possible situation and contingency to the people that work for you. So it's important to have these so that when you're gone, you're in a meeting, whatever, you're not there, they're not running to ask you, hey, how do I do this? Or they just can't function because they don't understand your overall intent. So that's where these statements come in. So they can say, well, I don't know what to do about this statement, but I know what our values are, and I'm going to try to live those values. This is an interesting situation. I wonder if this supports our mission. Is this going to help us get to where we need to go tomorrow through our vision statement? You can think about those things. And your employees may still get it wrong, but at least they've tried to meet the spirit of what they should be doing, and you can't beat that. Furthermore, these statements are going to be somehow reflected in your organization's culture. How people interact with each other, with their stakeholders, and with your customers. That's going to be reflected in these statements, ideally. Okay, we'll talk about it if that's not the case at the end of this playlist, but ideally it's going to be a reflection. How your organization is designed, how your chain of commands act, how your management hierarchies look, that will be reflected in these statements. When we talked about stakeholders so much, what is productive, efficient, and appropriate behavior with stakeholders should be reflected in these statements. And we'll see some examples of this in some of the following on videos. But appropriate interactions and communications with stakeholders should be reflected here. Now, those of you that are in my class, had the Jack-in-the-Box case. That should really make you think, there was that little bit of cognitive dissonance between what people expected of Jack in the Box and their behavior versus what was actually delivered. That's what caused a lot of these problems. Their mission, vision, and value statements weren't necessarily reflected in their actual behaviors, and that's what caused a problem. And I really like these statements because, you know, when you think about your vision statements, because they're so future-looking, you're talking about creating new markets, conquering the world. That's a tension, and for me, is almost representative of effectuation and resource-based view, effectuation theory and entrepreneurship, or resource-based view of strategy, how you're creating these new markets, right? That's on what's going on one hand. I look at that as a lot of our vision. And then when we look at causation or Porterian strategy, that's assessing the market as it is now. And there's a tension between resource-based view and causation, resource-based view and effectuation on one hand, and Porterian and causation on the other. And that tension, to me, is this tension that we also see between mission and vision statements, i.e., you know, where we are right now and what we aspire to be. There's going to be that same tension there. And so that's why I think we do need to care about these. Okay? So, if you thought this was interesting, in our next, in our next video, we're going to look at what is a value statement. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, hit the like, that's a thumbs up. Definitely put your comments down below. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.